Hey, it's Thomas Mulready from CoolCleveland.com, and we're here today at Star Plaza at Playhouse Square, and we're here with Fred Franks. He's the Director of Managed IT Services for Fit Technologies. Welcome, Fred. Thanks for meeting with us today.
Thank you.
Your offices are right over your shoulder here in the Idea Center building, and you guys handle a lot of really interesting technology. One of the areas that I found fascinating was I've heard about a LAN, a local area network. I've heard about a WAN, which is a wide area network. But what's a SAN exactly? A SAN?
Sure, it's a storage area network.
Okay.
And it's basically a network, or really it's more of an appliance. It's an array of hard drives, and it's used for storing large files. It's used for many purposes, but it's basically a lot of hard drives that are clustered together for the purpose of storage, and it's very fast.
Okay. So, for example, why would a company want to use a SAN, a storage area network?
Sure, there's a few reasons. One would be to store large files for backup purposes. So say you have all these servers and you want to do backups and you want to do them quickly. Now some people just back up directly to tape drives, and actually the preferred method is to back up to hard drives and offload that to tape. So having a nice SAN where you can back up everything to very quickly gets that whole backup process over with, so the servers can continue to do what they're doing and not be strained by backing up.
Okay.
So that disk to disk is a lot faster than disk to tape. That's the primary purpose for a SAN for most customers that we use.
For backup purposes.
For backup purposes.
Right,
but there's a couple other ones. Another one is for storing large files actually as production data. So you can have a server or many servers, and instead of having internal hard drives, they're actually using the SAN fiber connecting to the SAN where it has high read-write and availability. So you have redundancy in the hard drives, more redundancy because you have racks of hard drives, and they're a lot faster because you're writing to multiple disks and they're mirrored and striped, so it's actually sending the data so much more quickly.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So is this for people that have either like really large files, like you think about audio, visual stuff, video,
right?
They're very large files, or people that have massive quantities of files that they need to back up quickly?
Yes, it's both of them. It could be the very large files, the media and the video editing, if you will, those large files that have lots of reads and writes. It could also be customers that have just large amounts of files. They have lots of data that they're storing, or it could be somebody that's running, say, like an e-commerce, or somebody that has a database like SQL. You're going to have lots of reads and lots of transactions. So high transactional database, which could be a result of lots of files.
Right.
The high transaction database is going to want that type of availability for those quick reads and quick writes.
What has the cost? What's happened with the cost on some of these storage area networks? Because we hear about costs going down for hard drive disk space. Is that have you found that true?
Yes, absolutely. The hard drives have come down tremendously in price. Now, SANs are not cheap, but they're no longer in that six-figure mark that they used to be. So customers the medium and small business customers are more able to afford those hard drives and those storage area networks where they couldn't used to. And there's also very cost-effective alternatives to the premier types of drives. They're actually alternative drive sets that can go in that are much more cost-effective that still provide that high availability and high speed at a lower cost.
Right. Talk about some of your clients and what kind of applications they use some of these storage area networks for. I mean,
sure.
Is this for small businesses? Is it for large businesses only? I mean, who would actually use it?
Well, lots of businesses use it. Obviously, the large customers or large businesses are always using them, but the medium and small businesses are moving more into the SANs, and there's a real big moving point for that. And as we're an EMC reseller, another part of EMC's product set is virtualization. We talked about VMware, and VMware uses a SAN in a very interesting way. It allows you to store your server on the SAN, your virtual server on the SAN, and so that if a physical server actually were to go down, that another physical server that's running virtualization can pick it up right off the SAN. So that's not something you could do unless you have the SAN in place. So a SAN provides, when coupled with virtualization, provides you with that high availability of your server environment as well, not just your storage environment.
Right. Is this important for people with like e-commerce applications and large website applications?
Absolutely, because a lot of the servers, whether they're clustered or it's a single standalone server, that backend piece, that SQL backend piece that's not a part of the web front end, that's doing all that transaction, all the calculations, it really needs that disk, the high read and high writes and the outputs from a hard drive that you're not going to get with 4 or 5 hard drives sitting on a server. You're going to have 8 or more sitting on the SAN where they're reading and writing all in unison and pushing that data out much faster.
Is this something that where these servers have to sit physically by your main server farm or on location, or Is it possible to have these somewhere else on the internet connected through broadband, or how does that work?
Well, that's an interesting question. There's a lot more capabilities now where you could do, there's the two types of SAN drives. There's the very high speed, more expensive fiber channel, and there's the cheaper alternatives. And the fiber channel, as well as the cheaper alternatives, can now go over IP. That's the same as when you're sending an email, that's going over IP. When you have voice over IP, that's all over IP. It's basically sending it over Ethernet. So you're able to send it over distances where you don't have to have it locally. You're going to have some advantages, both cost-wise and speed-wise, having them locally, but you're not going to be suffering by having it somewhere across town if you're doing fiber channel or over IP or any other type of protocol over IP.
Right. At what point does it actually become a storage area network? I mean, if you have 2 or 3 hard drives, I mean, it's more complicated than that, isn't it? I mean, you have RAID array software that syncs all this up, or how does that work?
Right. We work very closely, as I mentioned before, with EMC, and there's other vendors out there that we work with. But basically, you have a controller, and that head unit's like a server. And within that controller, you plug in shelves in the back of that controller. And you also have a switch, but it's different than your data switch. So you have a lot of components that you have of a normal network. You have a switch for the fabric, for the fiber, and you have a controller, which is like a server. And inside those shelves are just empty slots that you plug in the hard drives. So without oversimplifying it, you basically are adding shelves as you grow, and certain controllers can take more shelves.
Right.
And that software all resides on that controller, and it tells the hard drives how to behave, what's getting the reads and what's getting the writes, and how they're replicating the data.
Right. Well, it sounds pretty cool, and it sounds like Fit Technologies is right up to speed on all this new technology. Thanks for taking time with us, Fred.
Thank you.
Hey, it's Thomas Mulready from CoolCleveland.com. Have a great week in Cool Cleveland.
Elves. And